everybody, and welcome to my first stream, or not stream, this isn't a stream at all, my first cast of Dota 2. So, just a little background for you guys. I am a huge fan of Dota 2. I don't remember exactly how many hours I have in Dota 2, but I am in no way a master. In fact, there are even some characters that I have never ever played in Dota 2. So I went ahead and actually did that video a while back being like, hey, do you guys want me to cast a game? I might have fun casting a Dota 2 game. Hey, what you want? And a couple of you were into it, a couple of you weren't, but most of you by far were indifferent and were kind of like, hey, you know what, Brendan? Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. And whatever you have fun with, we'll have fun with as well. So I hope that's how most of you will go ahead and actually see this, because like I just mentioned, this is actually like the first ever cast I'm recording. I did live stream one before with a friend, but this is only like the second game I've ever casted in my life. And on top of that, I'm not the most knowledgeable person about Dota 2, but I do know a heck of a lot. Probably more than the average person does. I might say, but yeah, it's mainly gonna be some casual, kind of fun casts, because I really love watching Dota 2. So, I hope that you guys can end up having fun with me, especially with teams like this. This is gonna be a fun team. I always like seeing Disruptor, because he does have some really good team fight abilities, obviously. But not just really good and useful and fun ones, but really entertaining ones to watch. And then look at the other team. It's a freaking IO, Ancient Apparition, and Clockwork. So there's actually, those are three big, very fun visual to watch ults. Everyone else is rather kind of common. Actually, Brewmaster is really fun whenever he throws down the primal split. Almost said Primal Spirit, but I thought it was Primal Split. Which is a really super good ability. Brewmaster is very far from being like the hardest micro character in the game. But really, he is one of those characters where you can see the separation between the men and the boys when when his ult is thrown down. Seeing if he's able to do any good micro with the three different spirits: the Earth one, the Wind one, or is he like Thunder? I don't know. And then of course the Fire one. I would say Wind because of course it has the Tornado room, but Tornado move. But for some reason it always, I don't know, looked weird to me. So I imagine the Brewmaster's probably gonna go mid. On the bottom team, the Outhouse Decorator will probably end up going mid. Common place for him. And then probably like Clockwork in the offlane. Lone Druid in the offlane going solo. Since Lone Druid has his bear, he doesn't really need he's got his bear. Doesn't really need any help with that. And once again, every single team that I've like watched a casual like Dota 2 captain's game with, one of them doesn't have a name or a logo, and it makes me so sad. I like teams when you see the name and the logo with all the people. Like we've got Team E-Hot. It's like E-Honda, just E-Hot, like E-Sexy, or who knows, maybe it's just really humid in whatever room that person's in. With some weird sigil? Not entirely able to tell what that is, but I don't know. We've also seen a lot of really fun character bands coming out here, except for Death Prophet. I don't think Death Prophet is very fun to watch. But I have fun watching Doom, even though he basically farms for the whole game until he gets really good items. I don't know, his ability Doom, it's just it's really entertaining watching his games, because you're like, okay, when is the Doom gonna get thrown down? Who's it gonna get thrown down on? And basically knowing that when that Doom goes down, whoever targeted is going to die. Nature's Prophet is a super fun character to watch. Too bad he's gone. Puck is okay. Invoker. I really love Timbersaw. Timbersaw is one of my favorite heroes in the game. I honestly think he's like one of the strongest too, because he's so freaking tanky, has so much health regen, so much burst damage, and he's not like the strongest in the late game with his auto attacks, but he could get pretty damn good if you give him some items. Ooh, an Enigma! Yes! This is gonna be like the world's most fun game. My god, IO, Ancient Apparition, Clockwork, Enigma, Disruptor. This is gonna be a really, really fun one. I'm glad I actually ran into these people right here. So, let's, actually, first things first, when you're streaming a game of Dota, you gotta actually check all the announcer packs and see if there's something you want to swap to. Especially since I don't actually own any announcer packs in Dota 2, and it makes me super sad. Wait, was there a Stanley Parable one up here? Oh, I like Dr. Kleiner. Let's get Dr. Kleiner. Oh, it's also Gladys. Let's get Gladys. Personally, I don't know if anyone else feels the same way, no, we'll have Stanley Parable for that. But, I don't know if anyone else feels the same way. Oh, it's a raccoon! That's kind of cute. But, it reminds me of Rocket Raccoon, even though it doesn't really look anything like him besides the fact that it's like a frickin' raccoon. But, I think that what is the game called? How am I totally blanking here? Defense Grid! He is my favorite announcer in this game. We might see some little choppiness, some lag every now and then, like we just saw right there. I don't think there should be too much of it in general. Hopefully there isn't. My internet is not the best. I imagine most of the games should be smooth. I actually am not even able to, like, play any Dota 2 at all, and it makes me so sad because the internet's so bad here. But I seem to be able to actually watch streams perfectly fine, which is obviously very, very nice. So we're able to do this rather than me actually playing Dota 2 on the channel. So we have QQQL, or an exclamation point or something, on the Chaos Knight. On the IO, we have AF Douchik. On the Clockwork, we have the bunch of random characters. It's like bot dash blah 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 blah. On the AA, or Ancient Apparition, we've got a very similar thing. Ends with a smiley face, though, and that gives him super cool points. And then we have, on the Outhouse Decorator, the Museum of Communism. Kind of interesting. Up top, we have the Enigma. He didn't actually turn one of those things into one of his Eidolons. He has not used, he has not grabbed his demonic conversion. Enigma is a character, of course, it's a common good practice in Dota 2 to make sure that you don't, pick your ability till you actually go into the lane. Mainly because you don't want to, like, pick one until you know who you're going up against, so you know exactly what would be best fitted for that. But really, it's one of those things where Enigma is a character where pretty much 99 times out of 100, he's gonna go for the Eidolon. So he did actually take a jungle creep as an Eidolon. He's not gonna help his lane stop from pushing, but he did get some nice creeps right off the top, right off the bat. The Satyr Tormentor itself gives you roughly 100 gold, so this guy's a really good guy to come across in the jungle. But let's go ahead and go back to introducing them. Enigma was Meku, while on the Brewmaster we have Razoryu with 3 crosses. Then we have on the Disruptor, Sosumuli. What is with all the crazy names in this game? On the Lycan, we have Thrasher. There we go, a cool name that's also very easy to read. And then, of course, lastly, on the Lone Druid, we have, Krauser? I think his name is Krauser, but yeah. He's also doing pretty good against last hits. He does have the bear for support, of course. But, going against an OD, and actually, I thought he would go into offlane, not mid. That's my bad. I thought the Brewmaster was the one instead who went down bot. And against it is a tri-lane against him, but against Ancient Apparition, Chaos Knight, and then a frickin' IO, I think the Brewmaster should be able to stand out okay. Wow! Oh, no, it's a tri-lane, duh. The Chaos Knight should be able to get a lot of farm. I don't know why that amazed me. But, going back to what I was saying before, like I said, Lone Druid has the assistance of the bear, but being a melee against, a ranged, he's actually doing pretty good at, getting a lot of last hits and stuff. And of course, that's gonna be super beneficial for the Lone Druid, seeing as, he's a very, very, very late-game prone hero. Then, up top, what's going on around here? Clockwork, he, of course, is pretty much getting, destroyed in his lane in regards to farm. Even the Brewmaster is doing better, but barely. Actually, that's very debatable, too, because, Clockwork has more denies than the Brewmaster does. Brewmaster just his last hit, 2 last hits. But, of course, you know, they're in the tri-lane. They're 1 versus 3. They're kind of, in a bad news bears situation altogether. Like, this bear is not the bad news. This is the bad news bear. This is the one that's bringer of bad news to everyone else. Especially since he's doing a lot of damage to this OD. This poor OD. It's not, doing too well. In fact, Lone Druid even still has 4 tangos right now. He's keeping his people alive and fed. So, Enigma seems to be coming up here. It's actually, I forgot, this top one, in many cases, probably won't be tri-lane, because Enigma will probably be spending most of his time in the jungle. He seems to be chilling in the lane a lot, which, personally, I don't really like. I would rather allow the rest of, I would rather give the Enigma more farm, both in regards to XP and cash, of course, and give the others more farm in regards to experience by putting him in the jungle. But apparently they want to go for the tri-lane here. Interesting choice. Don't really agree with it. OT actually got himself a regen rune, so that's obviously gonna help him out quite a bit. There of course is actually a ward for the Radiant, but is an award for the Dire, except for up there. Granted, the Radiant did actually magic bush, so that might be part of the issue with what's going on with Enigma, and he's just figuring to chill in the lane. Top tower has been taken down. Makes a lot of sense. I will say, looking at the teams, as one would expect, the Dire is definitely leaning more towards strength in regards to being able to push. With the Enigma getting the Eidolons out there, that's going to help a lot. Lycan has his 2 wolves that can help, and actually, they are both in that same lane as well, so it's a dangerous situation for them. How's everyone doing for levels? Everyone appears level 3. Lycan has some pretty good stuff going on him, too. Obviously super... I guess Enigma just wanted to chill in the jungle until he could get that soul ring and then go to the lane for a lot of pushing. Which actually, you know what? Come to think of it, seeing how much damage they're able to do to the 2nd tier tower up top already, that is quite substantial. There's been no deaths, but the Dire team has made their mark. They're showing their power right now because Clockwork, he's got his power cogs, but he can't really do anything about a push. Not with those Eidolons. Not with those Eidolons constantly coming out up there. And, of course, he does have the ability where once enough damage is done by the Eidolons, additional ones will actually form and split. So, the Radiant team is definitely going to need to start TPing up here. And we do actually have Disruptor fields coming down. What is that field called exactly? That's one thing I should know. Kinetic field. Okay, kinetic field. And it does actually look like the Lycan is going to go down. The levels on that Clockwork are actually probably showing a great deal, because I'd imagine him being level 6, 3 levels above, well, they might have been level 4 there, but, before, theoretically, 3 levels above the rest of them with that, with the assistance of that, Chaos Knight. Makes a lot of sense they would have been able to take him out. They probably actually got a little bit too greedy. Especially actually thinking about it, they don't really have much of any stuns. Lycan couldn't do anything about that. None of them could. So if they did actually end up gaining danger in that fight, all they could do is leave. And Clockwork has his cogs, Chaos Knight has his stun, and his grab. So kind of a foolish choice on their part. Definitely got way too greedy actually looking back at things. So Chaos Knight is actually ignoring his Chaos Strike. It makes a lot of sense. Kind of more of a late game thing. Stuns are obviously super good all game around, but it's not necessarily something that needs to be focused on early game, because early game, since you don't have much attack speed or anything like that, you're much more relying on luck, while in the late game, you're able to rely on getting, you're gonna be able to rely on getting more last hits just because of, Gladys is totally distracting me by her talking all over the place here, but I added her, so, and actually someone would talk nonetheless, but yeah, so stuns are better for the late game just because there's much more of a guarantee because you have that extra attack speed, you know, increasing your chance of getting them off. So it makes a lot of sense to actually go for things that are going to be more likely to secure the kills in the early game rather than, oh shoot, nah, looks like the OD is probably going to be okay. The IO shouldn't be able to help too much here. Of course, he did get that huge nerf way back when that made it so his what's that called again? Really should remember the name. Tether. I knew it was something like that. I was honestly just blanking on the word rather than the ability. But his tether used to stun. Now it only does its common slow, which is unfortunate. I apologize about all this lag. I don't know why this game is being especially choppy right now. But as long as we don't get any DCs, everything should be okay. Clockwork did actually shoot up his
Radiant's bottom tower
his
is
cogs.
being attacked.
Did they hit up here? I actually did not. I mean, not his cogs. His rocket flare. No, rocket flare is that. No, is it rocket flare? Yeah, I thought it was rocket flare. Shot off his rocket flare. I kind of missed where it went, so I don't even know where he was going for it. Lone Druid is in serious trouble. Man, yeah, he was way too far up there. Granted, the OT was pretty close to going down, so he probably was going in for a jump, but absolutely no one was up top. Granted, I think their lanes were also pushed back, so we might not have seen that, but it was kind of a wild move. Kind of a wild move on that Lone Druid. Very, very foolish choice on his part, too. OD for having the highest last hits on the board. He actually doesn't have quite as much as I thought he would, but he's doing pretty okay for him, finishing off his power treads. Actually, you know, it is only 8 minutes, so all this stuff is okay. The bottle, and between having the power treads and the bottle, that's okay. Okay. Lone Druid, his bear is actually okay as well. He's doing perfectly fine for himself. Disruptor, of course, is gonna have basically nothing, seeing as he's a heavy-duty support man. Ooh. Actually, totally missed that tower was destroyed. But the Clockwork goes in and grabs his a bunch of the Lycan with the cogs. And Lycan is, of course, gonna go down. There isn't really anything he could do about it. And between the Eidolons, yeah, actually, I totally missed that Enigma was there as well. That's my bad. But yeah. Nothing they'd be able to do about it. The wolves, between the wolves and the Eidolons are not gonna be strong enough to take down that Clockwork. Clockwork too tanky. He is actually he's obviously not the tankiest person in the world, but he does have some pretty good survivability on him, so be a hard man to take down for sure. Look at this weird Lone Druid skin. That's a weird one. I don't know if I'm too big of a fan for that. Look at that rocket flare. Did basically no damage whatsoever to the Lone Druid or the bear. That's kind of really funny. Putting the cogs down to once again go ahead and kind of stop the push. Io might be... I mean, he does have OD coming top to assist him, but I kind of feel like he was going a little bit, too far out there. Because if no one else is there to assist him, then he will have been in trouble. How is AA doing? Not quite level 6, which is always unfortunate, but of course he's been designated to a very, very supportive role as well, along with the IO. IO is actually level 6, so we're going to see some relocates and teleports popping around all over the place. Really can't wait for AA to actually become level 6, because, oh, Clockwork is coming in. He's just gonna actually walk in casually and miss with his cogs. That was a little bit of a fail, but with, oh my god! Oh, Enigma, what were you doing, man? That was a total waste of his ult. I'll get to that in a sec. We do see the Primal Split come down. Doesn't look like much is going to come from it because, of course, there are actually 4 people down here on the Radiant side. He is sending in 2 of his bears, which is okay because as long as one of them survives, he's going to be okay. So we might as well just throw those guys in. Still think it's kind of a weird choice. I don't know. Maybe he probably wouldn't have had enough time, but maybe he could have pulled back and farmed the Ancients really quickly. Once again, not sure if he would have had enough time to do that. Those guys do disappear pretty quick. Especially, do they actually have an increased duration? I thought so, yeah, it's only 15 seconds, level 1. I don't think he would have been able to take down the Ancients, get some extra gold in that regard, but, you know, would have been a nicer way to handle things. Let's actually check out the kill death things. Obviously, aren't many deaths coming in so far. Lycan with 3 deaths, though. That's kind of really bad. He and the Enigma, they've been doing a very, very good job of pushing because they've taken down a lot of towers. Bot tower hasn't quite fallen yet, but they, of course, they've got a perfect lead right now. No towers lost on the Dire side. Well, there's been 3 on the Radiant, and this bottom one might be falling down here. Of course, the Radiant will need to do some TPs in to be able to actually deal with this. They do get down. The, oh wait, Cogs. The Disruptor ult comes down, which for anyone who doesn't know, oh man, that Disruptor, actually, no, things might be turning a little bit down for the Radiant, but I actually thought first when the Clockwork got his hook in there, I thought it was gonna turn really, really bad for the Dire team, but that shows the Dire,
Radiant's bottom tower is
how useful the frickin' Disruptor is. The Disruptor is so good. This is why I think he's so good for team fights, because really, he could shut down an entire team, and that's what he kind of did there, because he's got his kinetic field, which traps enemies inside a small area. Of course, they could TP, they could use any kind of jump to get out of it, like a Blink with the Blink Dagger. I think Force Staff probably also goes through it as well, since Force Staff can go through frickin' walls. And the Enigma is going to go down. But that kinetic field mixed with his static storm, which of course anyone who knows Disruptor knows that that's a very, very standard combo, that just wins team fights easily. I actually totally missed that the Lone Druid and the Lycan took down Roshan. But really, it's Lycan in the game. That's not surprising. When Lycan's in the game, Roshan is going to be taken down very early. Just like when an Ursa's in the game, Roshan is going to be taken down very early. But going back to what I was saying, because for anyone who's new to Dota 2, doesn't know Dota 2 content, the Disruptor ult, what it does is it creates a nice static field that covers about yay much space, I would say. It's bigger than his kinetic field covers. And anything in that radius takes damage over time and is silenced. So if you get a good number of people, or best case scenario, a whole enemy team, that is very unlikely though, to get the whole enemy team. But if you get a good number of people in the kinetic field and then trap them in there so they're all permanently silenced for a short period of time. I just said permanently and then followed it up with short period of time. Oh, here comes the AA ult! Oh man. The Lycan is actually doing a pretty good job of surviving. He did take down the Clockwork. I don't know if the Chaos Knight was there. I believe he was. And the IO goes down as well. The AA ults apparently isn't go. Oh, no. Actually, he did go down. I am totally actually missing following everything right now. I apologize about that. I don't know if Lycan was killed by the AA ult. In fact, let me actually see. Where is the Lycan here? Lone Druid just pwned, blah, blah, blah. Ancient Apparitions. OD got Lycan, okay. Well, the AA ults will have helped with that. AA ult does so much damage over time. Let's actually check the gold graph. Yeah, the Dire is heavily in the lead. I think the main thing about that fight did definitely come out more in the Dire's favor, and the Dire is winning in kills right now. But I think what has really been showing for them, and why they do have such a high lead in the gold graph, was XP. Ooh, they are also in the lead in XP. But why they definitely have such a lead in gold is because they have this really strong push team up, and they've been able to take out towers. And the thing that's really scary that I would say for the Radiant team, the Radiant team I would say definitely is the one that's more fun. Like, they've got the IO, that's so fun. They've got the Clockwork, super duper fun. And they've got the Ancient Apparition, love the ults. Basically, really, really fun team to kind of watch. And I love them for their character, especially since they've got Raccoon. But they don't have as much late game as the Dire team does. The Lycan's gonna be really strong. They've got frickin' Lone Druid, and the Brewmaster's gonna be really powerful as well. While the others are kind of, for one thing, actually, they're all... Well, that's actually not true. I was gonna say they're squishy, but that's actually completely wrong, because they've got, like, a Clockwork, and Chaos Knight as well isn't all that squishy. But I would definitely say the Dire is a stronger late game. So they've done a really good job of picking a team that works very well in the early game, especially for pushing down lanes and getting them to the place where they'll get the gold to be in that late game mode as early as possible. It's really, really good for them. And of course, disregarding that fact that they have such a good early game, they do transition very well into late game. Very, very good team comp on their part. In all honesty, if I were to say something about the Radiant team, I think they probably should have gotten rid of the IO. I mean, the cool thing about Chaos Knight is a very, very strong character who can actually also function as a support, and actually it oftentimes functions as a support. Very, very, very often. He doesn't always carry games. So between that, like, I think that they should have ditched the IO and gone with something else. The AA ult comes down on like everyone, but the Dire team just doesn't care. They're just gonna stand through it. Radiant team isn't even gonna do much to fight them now, except for the Clockwork going in. He doesn't put down the cogs, and that ends up getting him trapped in the kinetic field, and he ends up losing his life. The OD also went down for it, and now the Enigma ult gets pulled. It's basically dead meat for everyone. That was really bad on the Radiant team. I don't know why the Clockwork jumped in there. I mean, the whole team was there, you barely had anyone supporting you, and basically, Clockwork just jumped in after the tower was lost, so there was no reason to jump in. Like, the AA ult went out, but they weren't taking nearly enough damage from it to affect them. Honestly, at this point, especially with this huge advantage in XP rather than money. I mean, obviously the money will help because that'll give them more defensive items, but most of these people shouldn't have health boosting items. In fact, yeah, Yeah, basically none of them do. The experience difference is making these guys so much beefier than the Radiant team, so the AA ult isn't really doing all that much damage. Especially since obviously it doesn't do an incredible amount of damage early in the game. So the clockwork goes down again. He's been dying a lot in this game. Actually, let's even see. He's 4, 1, and 9. With the assists, that's okay, but 1 and 4, that's not good for a clockwork. Clockwork is a very, very pick-off hero, so what you really want to be doing for the clockwork, and this is once again showing how good the Star team is, even though a lot of them are actually going down. Only one who made it out okay is the Disruptor. So who knows, that actually might have really changed. It didn't really change much. In regards to gold, we got way past that 10,000 mark. We're over 15,000, so I don't know if the Radiant team will be able to turn that around, but you know, it's one of those things where obviously taking down the whole enemy team is going to change things a little bit. Not quite sure if it's enough. They actually did also lose racks in mid, and all towers are pushed besides that. But going back to what I was saying, it does really suck for the clockwork, because this enemy team planned really well for fighting against the clockwork, because clockwork is a pick-off hero, and he's meant to go around and assassinate people one by getting his hook off on people and taking them out solo, stuff like that. And when you're against a team that does a lot of pushing, you're not taking people out solo, because they're never gonna be solo. So, Clockwork, it makes sense that Clockwork would be struggling in this one. He's had a rough time this game, and I can certainly see why. The Enigma hasn't been doing incredibly well for himself, but he did get a really good black hole out there before, and it is actually coming out in another 40 seconds. And actually looking at his build, taking out all these towers and those racks have been helping this Dire team so much, because I would never expect a 049 Enigma to be this wealthy. He's even got his Blink Dagger up and running. He is doing very well for himself. Disruptor is also doing very well. Of course, he's the mech carrier for this game. The Brewmaster is doing very well. He's got the Maelstrom going, and between them, the Blink Dagger, he's going to be able to farm like mad if they decide not to push, which obviously is going to be very frequent for them. How is the Bear doing? Lone Druid obviously doesn't have much, but that's because all of his M's are going to be placed right up on the Bear, and he's got his Radiant, so that damage per second is going to be pretty extreme for them. AA ult goes down. That's going to halt the push a little bit, but it's not really going to do that much. Yeah, Enigma goes ahead, spawn some Eidolons. I would actually really prefer to have those things attack the tower rather than do some harass, but, you know, I guess maybe harass would have been better at that point. It's kind of a, who knows, maybe he wasn't even focusing on them at all. And there goes the Clockwork. I don't know what he was doing out there, especially with, like, basically the whole Dire team pushing the bottom lane. He really should have been with his team. Like, as he's been doing pretty much all throughout the game, it wouldn't help tremendously, but he could have at least been down here, pop his cogs, try to prevent the push a little bit, rather than honestly just chilling out in the jungle and kind of feeding himself to the enemies. I know farming, getting some farm on themselves is like the only way that they'd be able to pull back, but no. This is a very quick game, because, you know, it's Dota. Okay, oh, the Lone Druid. When did the Lone Druid, it is 21 minutes, and I think Roshan was taken down around 12. So, his Aegis of Immortality may have just gone off based on time, but, I didn't see it go off before. Basically, I'm saying I don't know if the Lone Druid died or not. I missed that, of course. Top lane is pushing a little bit for the Radiant, but that's not going to be able to do anything for them. That's actually about to now give, a lot of free farm to the Dire team, which, is something that, at least in regards to the Radiant, they definitely do not want to be seeing right now. XP still took a little bit of a turn back to the Radiant, but, poor E-Hot T, I don't think they're going to be able to do anything about it, especially seeing as they do have a stronger late game. You know, like I just said, a game is never over till it's over, but I think it's probably over for the Radiants. It's one of those things where, oh yeah, they're pushing top lane really hard now, actually. And they're going for Roshan once again. Lycan is about to get the Roshan on himself. They should put it on the Enigma just for kicks. Nah, Lycan's gonna take it. Oh well, Enigma has a DD rune. Strongest hero in the game to put a DD rune on, just so you guys know. Just because of the style points. It gives him all that shocking cool style. He's like, yeah, I'm a big, like, flowy, weird spirit man, but now I'm one with, like, electricity emitting from my body. Cogs do actually go down on the Lone Druid. They do kill the bear. That's okay for them, and the Lone Druid might be going down as well. Like, apparently, the Dire may... Oh, but here comes the rest of them. Yeah, this is when things are gonna start turning around, I'm pretty sure. Disruptor is gonna go down, but look at this. The Primal Split is gonna give him way too much damage per second. Essentially giving him a Radiance on that Fire Bear is doing so much, and besides that, he was doing so well for himself on top of that. Clockwork has been lifted up in the air. He's floating on clouds like a tornado. He's basically hopeless. Too bad for him. Going back to what I was saying before, there is another fight breaking out. And actually, I don't need to actually show this visually as much as I could just say it. Really, going back to me saying, like, 2 minutes ago, and I was being like, this game is lost. Obviously, the Radiants have only taken down one tower compared to everything else. The gold difference is so crazy. But on top of that, it's one of those things where in Dota 2 in general, once one team has lost 2 sets of racks, that is a point where it's very, very difficult to actually come back from and change the flow of the game. So, you know, it's unfortunate for them. Radiant team did their best. They chose, like I mentioned before, they chose a really spiffy, really fun, really cool team comp. I wish it could have turned out a little bit differently for them, but you know, it's too bad, too bad. They did take down a good amount of people on the Dire team. That's not gonna do too much. Let's actually check everything that is going on the Radiant side. We do have an Outward Devourer who's actually been doing pretty okay for himself, everything considered in regards to farm. Chaos Knight does have his armlet. They actually got Enigma in the cogs up here. Enigma does pop his BKB, but he is going to die. There's no way he'd be coming back from that. I don't know why Enigma was even chilling down here. He probably should have pulled back. Disruptor is also chilling in the jungle, but he's much more far away and safe. Clockwork has virtually nothing. He's got like no items on him, and with only 800 gold, he is a very, very poor hero. Understandably, Lone Druid's starting to put some items on himself. Makes a lot of sense. The bear, once the bear's at this point, the bear honestly doesn't really need all that much more items on him. You can go ahead and put some on Lone Druid himself if you do wish it to be so. So much power and responsibility on that bear. Might as well take off a little pressure and put it up on his happy master, the Lone Druid man. Is that actually a skin for... Yeah, that is definitely a skin on Lone Druid. His face isn't just different. I was wondering because the bear definitely has a different face, so I was a little bit confused. So yeah, let's see who's chilling up here. Brewmaster, he's just chilling. He doesn't really care about anything in the world. He's just gonna drink his booze and alcohol and stuff like that. He does have a bottle on him. You always gotta get a bottle on Brewmaster just because he's such an alcoholic. So much damage goes down on the Dire team. I believe that was the OD ult going down there, especially with its cooldown. But still, it's not enough. Not enough at all. Dire team is just able to plow through it. Even Lycan, who is one of the guys who took the most amount of damage, is just running through everyone. The whole Radiant team had to flee because it was just too much damage. It's too far into the game. Really, it's one of those things, I believe it's the 10,000 mark where people say it is very, very hard to come back from, like close to the point where it's impossible to, and we are actually double that, so that was kind of a stomp. But it was a fun game nonetheless. I actually had a really fun game there. Really fun job casting it as well. I forgot to look at the couriers! I always like looking at the couriers as well, just because I think it's really, I don't know, I like couriers. I like all the cosmetics in this game, and they're fun to kind of watch and stuff like that. So anyways, that was my first ever cast of Dota 2. I think it turned out pretty well. I had a lot of fun with it. I hope you guys like it as well. One thing I do want to say, since this was my first cast, and I am very far Like, I'm nowhere close from being, like, a pro Dota 2 player. I think at best, I'm better than average. Even then, I probably am closer than average. So, it's one of those things where, and that goes for my knowledge as well. So, I would love to hear suggestions from you guys. Go ahead and tell me, not just, of course, the common suggestion being like, do you like the series? Would you like to see more of this? Or maybe, who knows, you guys hate the series. Maybe you want to poo-poo it and have it go by forever. But for me, what I really would love this to be is a fun time chilling, watching Dota 2 games, and actually learning some things from you guys. Because I'd love to get some comments saying, like, suggestions on what I could do to become a better caster, and maybe even some, stuff about characters and how they play, and stuff like that. So, because obviously I know most of it, but who knows, there might be some more complex pro things that, I don't quite fully understand, and I would love to get your guys' opinion on that and stuff like that. So, anyways, that's gonna be it for this Dota 2 cast. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like, a comment, and or subscribing if you have not. I am the EggScrambledGamer, and I will see you all next time.